Now that we have made the connection between myostatin proteins and phenotype, now let's see if we can connect the myostatin protein phenotype to the genes and the alleles. So looking at this screen, comparing the myostatin proteins to the chromosomes, what gene color do you think codes for the myostatin protein? When I look at these two myostatin proteins, they are both the same. When I look at these chromosomes, these two genes have different alleles. These two genes also have different alleles, but these two genes have the same allele. So right now I'm thinking maybe these two connect with the star genes. Well, let's keep going. These two have different protein structures. If I look at these chromosomes, these two genes have different alleles, so they could possibly match this protein. These two genes have different allele shapes, so they could match these proteins. And these two also have different shapes. So when I look at these two proteins, they could go with any of the three genes. Let's look at the fully formed ones. They are both the same. If I look at these two genes, they are different alleles, so they probably don't match. And if I look at these two genes, they are also different alleles, so they probably don't match. But if I look at these two, they are the same allele. So now, after looking through all of them, I'm thinking that because these two alleles match, and these two proteins are the same structure, and these two alleles match, and these two proteins are the same structure, I'm thinking that maybe it is the blue color that's the gene for the myostatin protein. And even though each of these alleles were different, we can also say that this one is probably right, the blue gene, because these two are different structures. And we found here that if there were two of the same alleles, there was one same structure, and two of the same alleles, same structure. So, since the blue gene is the only one that matches for each set of chromosomes and proteins, the blue gene must code for the myostatin protein. Now that we have narrowed down which gene of these three genes is coding for the myostatin protein, now let's figure out what we can learn about the alleles. What phenotype do these alleles code for? Think about what you know about the proteins, whether they're partially formed or fully formed, what that says about the phenotype. And then make a guess as to what these symbols mean for the phenotype. So if we remember that two partially formed myostatin proteins means a heavily muscled phenotype, then my guess is these star alleles, if there are two star alleles, that will give us the heavily muscled phenotype. So I'm thinking the star symbol allele is for heavily muscled. And if we look down here, these are two fully formed myostatin proteins. And we found that fully formed myostatin proteins gave the phenotype of not muscular cow. And so I'm thinking that circle allele means that it is a non-muscular phenotype. And lastly, if we look over here, we have one fully formed protein and one partially formed protein. And so we can guess that this circle allele is the symbol for the fully formed protein, and the star allele is the symbol for the partially formed protein. Now, we use special words when we talk about these. When we talk about these alleles, when we talk about the two of them together, we call that a genotype, the type of gene that we are seeing. And so 2-star genotype equals a heavily muscled phenotype. 1 circle and 1-star genotype gives us an in-between muscled phenotype. 2 circles genotype gives us a non-muscular phenotype. So again, to sum up, the genotype are the 2 alleles that are present on the chromosomes. The phenotype is the appearance that we get in the animal, whatever the trait is. So genotype are the alleles. Phenotype is the appearance, what it looks like.